I decided to take a look at some numbers from the past Canadian election. Now, as you know, Canada's in a hot mess. 10 years of Trudeau are pretty close to it. Now Carney. We're dealing with it. What happened? I'm not trying to put blame on anybody. I just want to put some stats out there. I know the boomers are taking the brunt of the heat right now, but and I'm not excusing them, me being one. But I think it's, according to Grok, it was 45 to 55% of boomers voted Liberal, because a lot of them are a bunch of elderly women pearl clutching with their panties in a knot. They're scared to death of Trump, and they're crotchety old men that are living with them went along probably just to keep peace in the family. So anyways, get that out of the way. What did the New Canadians do? Well, I decided to ask Grok about that too. And I asked, what percentage of New Canadians voted Liberal in the 2025 Canadian election? Well, I got some answers from AI. And it says, clarifying the request. The request is about the percentage of New Canadians voting Liberal in the 2025 election. It's tricky since 2025 is after my knowledge cutoff. In other words, there's no information out there for 2025. Oh heavens, no, Liberals wouldn't want that out there, would they? New Canadians likely means recent immigrants or naturalized citizens. I'm searching for data, excuse me, on voting patterns for immigration status. Key points. Got 3 bullet points. Research suggests that a significant portion of New Canadians likely voted Liberal in the 2025 Canadian federal election, but the exact percentage is not publicly available. Polling data from before the election indicates immigrants and second-generation Canadians were more likely to favor the Liberals, suggesting strong support. Immigrants, okay, and second-generation Canadians, yes. Historical trends show ridings with high immigrant populations have often voted Liberal, supporting the likelihood of similar patterns in 2025. That basically confirms a lot of our suspicions about the high immigrant numbers coming into this country. Liberals got a minority government this time. They need more voters. They need more immigrants. They got to get them out voting, and that is actually why you'll see parties pandering to the immigrant population. It doesn't seem to work for the other parties, but it sure works for the Liberals. The background: the 2025 Canadian federal election held on April 28, 2025, saw the Liberal Party led by Mark Carney win a 4th consecutive term with a minority government, securing approximately 43.2% of the popular vote. New Canadians, typically defined as recent immigrants or those who have recently obtained citizenship, are a significant demographic group whose voting preferences can influence election outcomes. Now, look at that again. It says recent immigrants or those who have recently obtained citizenship. Do they mean that recent immigrants that aren't citizens are voting? Don't know. Analysis: while Elections Canada does not collect demographic data on voters, including whether they are New Canadians, polling data and historical trends provide insights. A poll conducted on April 25th, 2025 by CTV News, that would be Nick Nanos probably, found that immigrants and second-generation Canadians were more likely to support the Liberals compared to the Conservatives, suggesting a strong inclination toward the Liberal Party among New Canadians. Historical data, such as the 2015 election, we know what happened there. That was the beginning of the end. When Trudeau came in, showed that ridings with more than 50% immigrant populations overwhelmingly voted Liberal, with all but 4 of 30 ridings supporting the Liberals. Given these patterns, it seems likely that a significant portion of New Canadians voted Liberal in 2025, though the exact percentage remains unknown due to the lack of post-election demographic data. They're not letting the numbers out. They're hiding the numbers. Supporting information for more details on the election results, you can visit Elections Canada. But why? There's no information there. Detailed analysis and report. This section provides a comprehensive examination of the percentage of new Canadians who voted Liberal in the 2025 Canadian federal election, April 28, 2025, as of August 5th, 2025. The analysis draws on election results, voter turnout data, pre-election polls, and historical voting patterns to estimate the contribution of new Canadians, defined as recent immigrants or those who have recently obtained Canadian citizenship, often within the last 10 years. This is the voting patterns of recent immigrants, as well as ones that are finally citizens, which have the right to vote. But what about these recent immigrants? So they contribute to the Liberal Party's vote share, which was approximately 43.2% of the total popular vote, totaling 8,564,200 votes, based on preliminary estimates. Election context and results. The 2025 election marked the Liberal Party's fourth consecutive term, forming a minority government under Mark Carney, replaced Trudeau as leader. Yeah, that's another issue. This election was notable for its higher voter turnout of 68.7%, with over 19.5 million Canadians casting ballots, surpassing previous levels since 1993. Key issues included U.S. relations, cost of living, housing, and crime, which influenced voting patterns across age groups and demographics. The demographics and new Canadians. Elections Canada does not directly collect demographic data by immigration status for party votes. Oh, heavens no. But pre-election polls and historical analysis provide insights. New Canadians often facing barriers such as language proficiency and mistrust in the electoral process due to their country of origin's democratic nature, tend to vote less than the general population. However, when they do vote, research suggests they often align with parties that prioritize immigration and economic stability, historically strengths of the Liberal Party. Well, the immigration, I can see that, and the economic stability, yeah, there's a lot of money goes to the immigrant population. Not so much to the ones that don't vote Liberal here. I'm talking about not immigrants. I'm talking about natural-born Canadians that actually built the country. A poll conducted by CTV News on April 25th, 2025 found that people who immigrated to Canada or are within 2 generations of family members who did are more likely to support the Liberals than the Conservatives. This poll, conducted before the election, suggests a strong inclination toward the Liberal Party among new Canadians, though it does not provide exact percentages of actual votes cast. They vote as a bloc. We can do the math. Historical data further supports this trend. For example, in the 2015 federal election, Global News reported that of the 30 Canadian ridings whose populations are more than 50% immigrants, all but 4 voted Liberal. This pattern indicates that immigrant-heavy ridings have historically been a stronghold for the Liberals, likely due to policies perceived as supportive of immigration and multiculturalism. So the polling and survey data, CTV News, and then historical trends and Elections Canada research, they all consistently highlight that new Canadians, when they vote, tend to favor the Liberals. And there's no data available from 2025 election for the demographic breakdowns. Voter turnout, historical context, StatsCan reported turnout rate 63.5% for immigrants compared to 68.3% for Canadian-born voters. There's some tables down here that show the numbers. And again, that's the population of the ridings at 50%, greater than 50% immigrants. 26 out of 30 ridings, 87% of the immigrant population voted Liberal, 13 for other parties, probably NDP. Conclusion and uncertainty. While the exact percentage of new Canadians who voted Liberal in 2025 elections is not available from official sources due to Elections Canada's lack of demographic vote breakdowns, research suggests that a significant portion likely supported the Liberals consistent with pre-election polling and historical trends. Evidence leans towards the new Canadians favoring the Liberal Party, particularly due to their policies on immigration and multiculturalism. So, folks, that is what I found out by digging through on Grok, which is probably fairly accurate, I would say. More accurate than CTV News, Elections Canada, the Liberal Party. So, I'll leave it at that. That's why the numbers are so high. Oh yeah, well, I did actually do another couple of things I looked up. One was how many. This is per day. Camera's doing tricks again. How many per day? Refugees, immigrants, asylum seekers, temporary foreign workers, international students. I got the annual, and then I divided by 365, and I got around 5,600 per day. So let's say round it down to 5,000. And then you can cut back a little bit there for the temporary foreign workers, but most of them stay anyways, not that temporary, so I'll leave them in there. So just say 5,000. How many people expired? How many Canadians expired per day? 2022 was the latest year I got, and you know what happened there in 2022, right? I think it was 196. So bring that down so that it balances out a little after 2022, let's say 160. That's per day. We're bringing in 5,000. They say, well, we've got to replace the people that are passing on. Oh, they're replacing all right, and they're replacing a lot more than the ones that are leaving. Replacing the ones that are here. So there's something for you to think about.